Well, welcome to That Was the Week. It is Friday, October the 16th, and this is Keith Tier. Welcome to the show. This week's newsletter is all about what happened in the last few days. Platforms or publishers, who decides what is true or what is false? The brouhaha started when New York Post published some hacked files from Hunter Biden's hard drive, which showed his, let's say, less than worthy character in their view. And immediately it was published, Facebook and then Twitter interfered with its distribution. The interference took different forms in both platforms. And what was surprising was almost immediately Jack Dorsey of Twitter intervened with his team to say that that was an inappropriate intervention, and asked his team to look at the policy, and the policy was immediately reversed. Facebook, on the other hand, hasn't made any changes. Now, these decisions by Facebook and Twitter produced a lot of reaction. Let's start with John Battelle. This is, John Battelle. John Battelle is very well known, I'm sure, to those of you who lived through the Web 2.0 era. When Facebook prevented the post from being distributed, he said, "Excuse me while I point out the most fucking obvious thing in the world. When it comes to what an editor actually does, we draw lines about what is and is not acceptable, either as fact, as truth, as hypocrisy, or what is in the public interest. That's the damn job of journalists, to call bullshit. And regardless of Facebook's long-standing claims to not be a publisher or a journalistic entity, the truth is these actions prove the company understands it is an arbiter of facts, truth, and the public interest. The simple reality is this: the company has tried to have it both ways for too fucking long. It's time we treat Facebook for what it is, a media company, subject to the norms, responsibilities, and behaviors we all expect and demand from our media providers." So there Battelle is making the case that Facebook is not a platform, it's a media company, and it did the right thing here, acting to prevent things that it disagreed with from being published. Kara Swisher on CNBC had a different take.
That's kind of ridiculous to treat them like they're utilities or that they're part of the government, because they're not. There's lots of opportunity for the people to know. They don't have to know it from Facebook or Twitter anymore. They have to know it from the New York Times. You don't have to buy the New York Times, or you can buy it or whatever. And so I think that's just sort of, this idea of calling for the FEC to look into this and election interference. I mean, it's rich, given the history of election interference is mostly been from the Russians and other malevolent forces. So, and also with the FEC, they don't have a quorum, largely because this administration has not put in the commissioners necessary, or approved the commissioners necessary. And so, unfortunately, when Josh Hawley was calling for bringing this to the FEC, he knows full well they can't meet because they don't have a quorum. And so the whole thing is just a lot of noise right ahead of the election. You're going to see a lot of these stories sort of pop up and suddenly bubble up. And I think it's going to be a real problem for these companies. And they're either going to have to very much explain what they're doing, or not do it at all, which I think is what they've been doing for years now. So now that they've waded into this, they're going to have to wade all the way up to their neck.
So Kara, basically, different take, but she agrees with Battelle that these companies have every right to interfere because they're private companies, and more to the point, they should. And the FCC has no business to get involved. Something, by the way, that the founder of TechDirt agrees with. This is Mike Masnick, a very well-respected writer, who's been on the tech scene for a long time, responding to the FCC's contention that it has legal authority over Article 230 of the Communications Act to interpret the meaning of that law. This is bullshit. And what's worse, is that Pi knows it's bullshit and he's still doing it, says Masnick. So a lot of complex issues that basically are all supporting Facebook's right to be an editor, also Twitter's right to be an editor. Now, my take this week in the editorial is completely different to that. I do not think that Facebook or Twitter should want to be publishers. They should want to be platforms. These are places where all of us, anyone that wants to, can get an account and can publish, and we can interact with each other. We can publish facts, we could even publish lies if we want, we can publish opinions, pretty much whatever we want. And for Facebook or Twitter to get in the way of that seems to be a huge mistake, something that Jack Dorsey recognized almost immediately, and within 24 hours, Twitter has declared that it will not interfere. It will allow users to make their own minds up, although it may label some of the data, something that I also disapprove of. So this week's That Was the Week is all about this. This is my point. The real decision here is whether the world can cope with platforms where a person or organization can express any legal perspective. The human race is diverse, as are its beliefs and opinions. Facts, of course, are facts, but thoughts and ideas are not. Can we collectively handle the existence of open platforms that can encompass the wide breadth of real-world points of view? Human beings are certainly capable of understanding that a platform, by definition, is open to all views. We can distinguish between ideas we agree with, ideas we disagree with, opinions, facts, beliefs. We can collectively discuss and debate these points of view, and we can change or become entrenched either way. And together we can influence each other by contributing facts, ideas, opinions, and beliefs. So please, Twitter and Facebook, don't interfere, be a platform, and let us get on with our lives free of anybody's attempts to stop us. That is this week's editorial.